Hello and welcome in, all you O9ers, PCHers, junior private detectives, Neptune pirates, and that one stoner guy who's wearing the tuxedo t-shirt and top hat to Alterna-Prom to Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars Rewatch podcast where we go through episode by episode. My name is Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
And we're here to talk about Season 2, Episode 20, Look Who's Stalking. Would you like to know the original title? See you next Tuesday. So much better.
And when did they change it?
Before it aired.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm assuming the change was probably notes from the network. But
See you next Tuesday is so much better.
yeah, such a better name. Look Who's Stalking is a dumb pun. And I'm sure they're like, whatever. Let's just do a joke on Look Who's Talking.
I'm not one of those people who remembers episode titles ever.
Yeah. No, not usually.
Like even Gilmore Girls, which I have watched so many times. I couldn't tell you more than maybe 4 episode titles.
Yeah, no, I'm really bad at it. I feel like the only ones maybe that I could pick out are maybe Arrested Development or Bob's Burgers episode titles, because some of them, especially
Bob's Burgers, are more descriptive because every
Yeah.
episode is so different.
and it's usually puns on something like this, but they're better because they actually pertain to
the episode.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, each episode is crafted around that concept, whereas a lot of shows like this, which are more you follow a character's chain throughout a period of time. These are Bob's Burgers is time notwithstanding. Time does not exist there. But here it's you go through an order. So I guess that's why I don't remember them, because I'm thinking of the storyline and how that one line resolves. I'm not thinking about how that episode ends.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find the episode titles just really don't stick out to me. It's oh, okay, that's kind of clever.
I know a lot of people are into Friends because they did some quirky naming convention.
Right, the one with, or the one where.
Oh.
Yeah, that's I couldn't name you a full episode title, but it's usually a pun in that, a joke in that way of oh, it's the one where they go to the mall. So that's what they did for all their shows. The one where they have flashback or something.
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, and probably Community, because it's all class names.
Oh. I would have never known that. I don't know any of the episode titles for Community.
Oh, gotcha. It'd be, so the Dungeons and Dragons episode is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Oh, I remember the pen one also is Cooperative Calligraphy.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about episode titles.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people come here for.
In the precursor to this, when they give you the, the previously on, and they show you things that pertain to what will happen in this episode, I was oh, Leo's back.
It's Leo's going to come in here somewhere. Yeah, I will forever think of the nights for watching Game of Thrones and being okay, we're going to go back to these people now.
It didn't matter what they showed me at the beginning of that, though, because it was just going to all be gone within the first 10 seconds, because I was just Jesus Christ, how'd we end up here? We couldn't do a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast because I personally couldn't rewatch Game of Thrones.
No. Yeah, it's completely ruined.
It's awful.
The ending soured everything.
Well, and it's all drawn out for nothing.
Yeah. I'm sure there is some pleasure to be had, but knowing where it all goes is oh, this is a bummer. And the entire time would probably just be us look at how good it was.
And all the things that they brought up that then they didn't bring up in the end.
Totally. It'd be watching Lost again.
Oh, I didn't even do it the first time. Not for me.
I mean, I would probably just maybe be able to just sit back and be oh, that's a cool thing that they obscured. But yeah.
No.
I don't know. I couldn't watch an entire episode where it's all about Jack's tattoos again.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it's awful.
Well, you know what I would have titled this episode of Veronica Mars?
What?
Veronica, you have chlamydia. Because that's literally how they open the episode. So why bury it? Just put it in the title.
Because it has nothing to do with the plot line for this episode.
I know. Veronica, you have chlamydia.
Yeah.
Here you go.
You're chlamydia, Veronica Mars. Put your hands together, Veronica Mars.
I don't know. And he's like, yeah, we'll just give you some antibiotics. You know, no big deal. Which is, chlamydia is not that big of a deal. But not knowing how you got chlamydia is usually the problem.
Totally. And it's a very strange thing to happen in episode 20 of season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she had no symptoms.
Mm-mm.
Which is kind of common.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's like uncommon to not have symptoms of chlamydia.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or STDs in general. Some people are asymptomatic, and that's how they get spread.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so there you go. Those are the super spreaders.
I mean, I guess so. That's why everyone should always get tested, because you just never know. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, unless you've only been with the same person the whole time, and you know that they've only been with you, but etc.
Yeah, I mean, you just get your blood drawn. It's not too bad. I dragged my feet for a very long time, and it's not smart.
I feel like for chlamydia, they do a swab. Do they take your blood?
Oh, I was just talking about getting tested in general.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what they tested me for, but they're like, all right, you're good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
I believe it was all blood test.
Maybe. I know as a woman, usually I do all my testing at once, and they do some swabs internally and some blood work.
Right.
But they can do chlamydia and gonorrhea, I think, based on the swabs.
Why don't they just do that, like, for men at the...
I don't know if they can swab the inside of you.
No, I meant like during a checkup or something like that, right?
Yeah, they do it like if you go in for your annual exam and you're like, here's my vagina, here's how she's running.
Right.
And then
they test for our cholesterol, which, thank God. But, like, maybe just throw a couple other tests on there. I'm glad we went to that one doctor in the city who's just like, yeah, just go get it done.
Yeah.
And you can get HPV on your insurance for the next year, so let's do it now. Like,
you can get the shot series covered.
Thank you. You better pick it up now, because if you get it after 2026, 27, it's not covered.
For HPV.
Yeah.
But that one's a little different because it really truly affects women more than men.
Totally, completely. But it was just funny because none of my other doctors even brought it up before.
Really?
No.
I guess because you're a dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be like, yeah, hey, maybe this should be more common.
Yeah. Yeah. Get all the vaccinations you can. It's kind of my golden rule.
Mm-hmm. Get a punch card and you get that 12th free, and it's like, yes.
Oh my God. So yeah, Veronica has chlamydia, which is obviously like not good, but not, whatever. And she's like, that's just weird because I've only been with Duncan, this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, who else could it be? And even down to like where she's sure that Duncan is the person she was with the night she was drugged at the party.
Totally. So it's like, I don't know who else.
Yeah, like this has to be from Duncan, so how did I get it?
Totally.
So then we go to school, and we have the weirdest filter on the camera.
Yeah, something's up. You mentioned it.
It's like sepia.
Uh-huh. It's like
yellow.
the old school, like, Instagram colors that you used to always put up.
I think my first Instagram photo is a picture of a sample drink at Starbucks with, like, a filter like that.
Nice.
Like a mini Starbucks sample.
Uh-huh. By the time I got Instagram, that was already passed, but other filters were still in style, so.
Late to the party.
Yes, very.
But, yeah, so Wallace and Jackie are all lovey-dovey about prom.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going all in because, you've only got 6 weeks to be together. You might as well have the best time you can.
Till she's off to Paris.
Mm-hmm. And Matt comes up and is like, you sold me to Butters.
Yeah.
I'm still mad at you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you, but I'm still mad at you.
Yes. Replica pirate. We're going to have dinner on a replica pirate ship, which...
Honestly, like, you could take me to a replica pirate ship.
Yeah, exactly. It's all who you're going with.
It's less about the ship and it's more about the pirate.
Exactly. It's the principle of the thing.
Well, and he's the principal's kid.
All right, touche.
Yeah. So Mac's like complaining, and then an announcement comes over the loudspeaker that prom is canceled. And Mac is like, "Oh, prayer works."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes, Queen.
Yes.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
You've dodged a very large bullet.
Yes." But prom is canceled, and Wallace and Jackie are going to be sad about it.
Yes.
Mac is grateful.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure most people are sad, but
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
Then we cut over to Woody, who calls Keith.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, "Hey, I need you."
Yeah.
Keith comes, and there's a passed out girl in his bed.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Take her to the hospital."
Right. It's like, do my dirty work for me, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Keith is like, "I don't do this, but I will do this so this woman doesn't die."
Right. Because you're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're sitting here looking at me like, And it's like, well, shit. All right. Here's the unraveling of Woody's character. I mean, not that we already didn't know that, like, there's probably some shit up with Woody, but,
Can we take a quick pause? I'm breaking out in hives.
Oh, yep. Totally. All right. We're back. And,
Benetrilled.
Yeah, Benetrilled. But yes, the first time that we're starting to see the cracks in the nice guy facade. We've had our like inklings of like, that doesn't line up. Why did this like camera situation resolve so quick?
Well, and he was super weird to Logan.
Yes, incredibly weird to Logan.
You bet you get all the ladies, you big guy.
Yeah, as he's like grabbing him. Yeah, like really grabbing him.
That's gross.
But like here's like a big smoking gun finally.
Mm-hmm.
And at the famous Camelot Motel.
Yeah, all the shit goes down at the Camelot.
Exactly.
Gets hot at the Camelot. That's what I always say.
Hey, I mean, I believe the last time we were there was the Logan Veronica kiss after the JTT incident. Mm-hmm. But we could have been there afterwards, but that's the last one I remember.
Is it not where she took Amelia de Longpre?
Yes, the Camelot. You're right.
That's what I thought. So we only have one motel.
Yeah, exactly.
Holiday Inn.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so Keith does Woody's dirty work, and then Gia comes up to Veronica, and it's like, "Hey, I'm being stalked. Have you ever been stalked?"
Love Gia.
And
fantastic.
It reminded me that I had a stalker in college for a brief period of time. From a group project that I had to report to the department that the class we took in summer school that was happening. And I was like, "Oh yeah, like everyone's been stalked." And then I was like, "No, most women have been stalked."
Yeah. Yeah, that is a bad situation.
It's always a bad situation. It's a little creepy, just a little.
Yeah, totally. 100% creepy.
And a lot of the times it's unfortunate because it's just like, this person is lacking the ability to communicate their feelings in a healthy way.
Right.
But it doesn't make it okay.
No. That is not your job.
No. But I had forgotten about Gia being stalked. But I did remember the scene with that we'll get to in a bit with the knife.
Yeah, and I think the stock thing, it starts to take a back burner really quickly because of like
everything else.
When we meet up with Leo also, it's like, oh, there's like a resolution there, so it's not like this hanging thread.
Mm-hmm. So Gia's being stalked, and she's like, "There's a car following me around. I did karaoke. I dedicated it to a table, and I thought they were just like the nice nerds, but they're actually like the like might murder you nerds."
Mm-hmm. You just can't pick out a random table during karaoke. No,
you gotta know them.
Mm-hmm.
You only sing to those you know.
That's what I always say. I've been telling people that for years.
That's why we only sing in private.
Exactly. When I wake you up in the morning, did you ever know that you're my hero?
If you sang to me in the morning, I would literally die laughing. There was a day where my stepfather and I decided, I don't know if I was home for the holidays in college or if it was late high school. I think I was home for the holidays in college. And we decided we were going to live our lives like a musical because I love musicals and he does not. Mm-hmm. And so I said, maybe you'll like it better if you live one. So we sang everything for the entire day. I think we only made it to noon.
Yeah.
Before my mother threatened to murder us.
I was gonna say, your mom's memory of that is not so positive.
You know, I think in retrospect, she had a great time. She just couldn't go with it.
Right. I think she was like, my God, they've been going.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to drop the bit if you're not going to drop the bit.
That's true.
It's a team sport, improv.
That's what they always say.
We sang about the coffee. We sang to Eartha Cat. We sang to my mother. She didn't really appreciate it. But we did it.
Uh-huh. She was included.
Yeah, we wanted her to be a part of it. So, sing at home.
Exactly. We encourage you.
Or, sing in public if you want. Just be careful.
Totally. Get one of the karaoke machines. Do it at home.
Yeah, also, don't go anywhere right now. We're in a pandemic.
Yeah, karaoke on the Zoom.
I owned a karaoke machine.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it had a little cassette. It was a cassette CD player radio karaoke machine with a microphone. And when I stopped using it, I think the microphone part stopped working or something. I gave it to my grandmother because she used to listen to cassette tapes, and it had a bigger speaker, so she could use it in the living room.
That's a great idea.
A karaoke machine.
Very smart.
She had a police scanner and a karaoke machine. She was ready for whatever.
We got a 1099 in East Hanford.
But yeah, Gia's being stalked. And Veronica's like, okay, I'll look into this for you. And then we go. Yeah,
because she shows Veronica the CD of the camera footage, right?
No, not yet.
Oh.
She's got a nondescript car following her.
Gotcha. Sorry.
And that's why she notices it, because it's so obscurely nondescript.
She's kind of right.
Uh-huh. And then we go to Mars Investigations, and some lady with legs and heels is there. It's Kendall.
Yep.
But they got to show the legs, because, legs and boobs, that's how they show Kendall.
Yep, that's what she is.
Drives me nuts. I'm like, she's a very intelligent woman to be running these scams. Give her some respect.
Yeah, okay, so I know nothing about Buffy. We've mentioned this before. But apparently she got, kind of screwed over.
Buffy? The Vampire Slayer?
Mm-hmm. Charisma Carpenter. Yeah.
Is she in that?
Mm-hmm.
I never watched it.
I haven't either. But I mentioned it when, I think it's a few episodes ago. But I think she supposedly kind of got, screwed over.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me mad. The way they portray this character. I know nothing about the actress, but she's like, hey, Keith, I want my hard drive back. You stole it. And he's like, yeah, well, your friend tried to shoot me. She's like, yeah, Liam is my friend, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, this is some weird shit.
Right.
And
You're breaking and entering.
So she threatens him that if by the end of the week she doesn't get her hard drive back, I don't remember what she was going to do. But she threatens him.
Yeah. I think it was just a threat of violence.
Yeah. And Veronica comes in. And she's like, oh, good, you're here.
Mm-hmm. My favorite.
And then Kendall leaves, and Veronica is like, hi, Dad, I had a doctor's appointment. It was great. You got your money's worth. I'm healthy. And I'm like, I get not wanting to tell your dad you have chlamydia.
Totally. And he kind of pushes back on the whole, got my money's worth?
But, at the same time, it's a little suspicious.
Totally.
How you got it. So, you might want to use his detective skills.
Yes. Especially showing later in the episode, when you compare notes with your father, you're unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Just how they caught Kendall the last time too.
Exactly. You gotta compare notes.
She's like, hey, if you would have known there were no bullets in that gun, if you had stayed on the phone with me.
Mm-hmm.
But so then she's like, I need to borrow the cameras because I need to watch something for Gia because she's being stalked. And he's like, okay, but only if you fold up all these flyers and mail them out to all our friends of the man who paid the prostitute to steal Cliff's briefcase from a couple episodes ago.
Exactly. Guy with the soul patch.
Uh-huh. And Veronica does that, I guess, and then takes the cameras, and she watches the footage, and we find out that the stalker is
Leo,
your boy,
who has because they show the plate when they
I owe you something, right?
Yeah, so they figure out No, okay, so in that original scene, Gia did show the footage, because then when they're watching the footage, Veronica finds the no.
No, because she didn't have the. How would she have footage? She didn't have the cameras.
Oh, God, my brain is not operating. She gets the camera to see who's following.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then they watch it.
Yep, my bad. And then they see the nondescript license plate, or the nondescript car.
They look up the car, the license plate, and it's Leo.
Yeah, the license plate is IOU 875. Is that a vanity plate or?
I think you owe me $875.
Okay, so someone owes someone something.
I think you owe me $875.
Shit.
I accept it in hundreds.
Hundreds?
Uh-huh.
How am I gonna? Oh, do I have to round?
75.
So round down.
Round up.
Oh, fuck.
75. You'd round up. Uh-oh. Oh no, his maths.
Not so good. You better double check the amount I give you.
1 to 8. But yeah, so then we're like, oh cool, it's Leo.
Yep.
Then
Not good. Leo, what are you doing stalking people?
We go to school and Veronica's like, hey Logan, do you know if Duncan was sleeping with anyone else besides Meg? And then he's like, yeah, there was a small annoying blonde, what's her name? And then she's like, okay, but anyone else besides me and Meg? And he's like, Duncan was very private about his sex life. And I'm like, you shared a hotel room. How private can he be?
Pretty much what Logan should have said was, the boy didn't talk much.
The boy didn't talk.
He just kind of nodded along and went, we're like, great. Yeah, no, that sounds great, Logan. I'm going to go punch a wall in there.
And then she's like, oh, joy. And then he invites her to their Alterna-Prom because the rich kids are throwing a prom because they got prom canceled.
Yes, he pulls out the card and it was printed on very nice stationery. Hands her the card. And
nice
like,
cardstock.
Here's my invite.
Uh-huh. And she's like,
hope to see you there.
She's like, well, you got my friend's prom canceled. And he's like, bring them. Bring whoever you want.
Right.
And so she's like, okay.
Yeah, bring a dish. It's a potluck.
What are you going to bring to the prom potluck?
I don't know. I always bring rolls, but I mean, that's just me being lazy.
I mean, you probably need a lot of bread when you have that many drunks.
True. Or ducks.
Ducks?
Yeah, a lot of bread.
Oh. Drunks and ducks. I thought you were saying you're going to bring duck.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to bring ducks.
I was like, that seems very formal.
These kids have very high-class taste.
Or like, are you bringing baby ducklings to hang out with? Like, I just didn't know.
No, I'm not going to endanger the ducklings.
Okay, but you'll eat them?
Well, the mature duck that has been...
Mature duck.
I can bring it all wrapped up.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Logan, where should I set the duck?
It's live.
Yeah. I need to prep.
And so then Veronica's like, cool, whatever. And then she goes and has coffee with Leo.
Yes.
And she's like, hey, Leo. And he's like, oh, how are you? He's like, I'm doing what any good former law enforcement person is doing, private security. And he's like, yeah, how's your love life? Is that why you called me? And she's like, no. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, so like, why are you stalking my friend Gia then? And he's like, oh, so this is why you called me.
Yeah,
and he's
Gia appears, arms folded. Yeah, when he said private security at first, I didn't think until we got the explanation that like he was helping to make sure that she was okay. Like, like a bodyguard. No, my first mind went to that, like, pretty much like that sits in the booth, like outside.
Like the property.
I thought that's
the
what
Kardashians.
Yeah, I thought that's what he meant. He's just like sitting in a booth. He's wearing like gray, and he's got a flashlight.
Oh my God. No, I thought I immediately was like, oh duh, then that's why he's been following Gia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Picturing a much sadder version.
He's the knight.
Yeah, exactly. Although Leo is pretty sad in this scene.
He is sad. Poor Leo.
Do you want me back? Okay.
It's not how he talks.
No.
He's like, thanks again for gaslighting me, Veronica. I'll be over
pretty
here.
much.
So we find out that Leo is just hired to watch her. So Gia's like, okay, I'll just tell my dad that their private security's fucking freaking me out.
Mm-hmm.
Woody, we find out in the next scene, blamed Keith for this woman in his room because the hotel, the Camelot, has cameras.
Yeah, who'd have thunk?
And he's like, well, they saw it, so I said that it was you. And Keith is like, I would never get someone drunk, and I would never investigate like leaks in the campaign. Like that's because that's what you put it under. She's like, that's not what I do.
Asshole, it's in the papers.
And he's like, I blamed you, Keith, because I need the city to be incorporated and like that's everything's riding on it. And Keith is like, I'm not for incorporation.
Right.
I am poor, remember?
Yeah, have you seen we are not in the same socioeconomic class.
It's funny how wealthy people always think that people who are poorer than them or have less income than them are like, oh yeah, like I want the things you want. And I'm like, no.
Right. Wait, why aren't you on the same page with me? This is baffling. Yeah, it's you can't see outside yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It always has been to me.
Oh yeah.
But
well, when you're insulated with your money,
yeah,
you don't gotta. You're amongst your peer group is all fucking people on the same wavelength. So then, yeah, there you go, confirmation.
I've never been insulated with money, but now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't sound like the best insulation.
No.
Sounds lonely.
Yeah. My house went up so fast. And I lost a lot of money.
There's always money in the banana stand.
Exactly.
If you know, you know.
Oh, God. Someone posted a video of, like, the looting is starting, and it's, like, this small little booth in Louisville with, like, its window broken. And someone's, like, a woman was shot, and the officers didn't get indicted, and you're worried about the Bluth banana stand.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fucking awful. And then we go back to Gia. Right?
Yes. Okay. Finally, I am vindicated. If I had looked at my notes, I could have just shut up.
Gia's like, oh my God, I got this tape now that we know, like, it's not Leo because they're, like, watching me and they're, like, taking care of me. She's like, I got this video of someone filmed me at my little brother's soccer game. And
yeah.
Veronica watches it with her and she's like, hey, it looks like this woman was also filming it. So maybe she could give us the tape so you could see who it is.
Gia's like, oh, I know this person. It's Mrs.
Huh? And then we go back to Keith, who's talking to a reporter, and he's like, off the record, I just need you to know that, like, I don't know what the fuck is Woody's doing, basically. And he's like, I think you should probably put that on the record. And Keith is like, well, couldn't you just talk to the woman? And he's like, it's funny because you dropped her off, but then she left before being treated. It's like, oh, fuck, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Keith then is like, well, I guess I got to do what's right and tell the truth.
Yeah, totally. Which, like, of course, like, you owe Woody nothing. He's a civil servant that got caught in doing some bad shit.
And lied about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Couldn't just be like, oh, that was a staffer who got too drunk, so we wanted to make sure she was okay.
No, and made up an even worse statement to Keith. It's not that, because the story is that Woody paid for an escort in city money. Oh, no, this is a staffer that Keith got drunk and brought her back to the Camelot Motel.
To interrogate her, basically. And it's
right.
Like,
no.
So, then we go to Wallace and Jackie. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do on prom night because prom's canceled. And Wallace is like, I got it. I'll take you to the batting cages. You swear to God, if you were like, you know what, I'm going to take you to the batting cages, I'd be like, why? So I have a bat to hit you with? Like, not that we condone violence or domestic violence, but like, what is the excuse?
Why don't you want to do the thing I want to? I invite you over for video games and you don't want to do that either? It's a very high school move. We love you, Wallace, but you got some things to learn. We understand the folly of youth, but come on.
I don't think I've ever been in a batting cage.
The ball gets tossed at you.
I've
and
seen
you gotta
them.
Hit it. Yeah.
It's not for me.
I went when I was younger, because I played on baseball teams. So it's like, oh, we'll go to the batting cages. But I've never been as an adult, even though that seems like an activity that adults do. Not for me.
Not for
I didn't like playing baseball because balls were thrown at me.
So you don't want a machine to throw it at you?
No, I don't care how slow.
Yeah. So then she's like, no, Wallace, I want to get dressed up. I bought a dress. I'd like to wear it. And I'm like, yes, Jackie, please remind Wallace how to be a good person. And Veronica's like, what if I told you you could go to prom, but it's trashier? And she shows them the Alterna-Prom flyer. And Wallace is like, they've even privatized prom.
Best line.
And then he's like, yeah, this is perfect. And then I can put on my tux and do my hot tux things because I look so good in a tux.
Mm-hmm.
And then our stoner friend comes over and is like, what's this?
Uh-huh.
Oh, prom. Cool.
Yeah. Best wrinkle in the entire thing is that the
stoners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The stoner, and then that it gets spread to the plebeians of the school.
Yes. Anyone who wants to go to prom can.
Mm-hmm. The hoi polloi.
Mm-hmm. Now we go to Terrence. Terrence has been visited by his daughter Jackie, but for the most part, he's just alone in his. I almost said his hotel room.
He's a hotel with an IV and a heart rate monitor.
He's in the hospital.
Yeah, most expensive hotel room you could probably pay for.
Especially in California, or in the California, but in the U.S. in general, just expensive hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And Terrence wakes up and Keith is there, and Keith is like, why did you break into the teacher's house? And he's like, she was going to write a tell-all book about me, so I wanted to steal the documents, basically, because I basically am complicit to insider trading.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I threw a game.
And then Jackie shows up to take care of her dad. Keith leaves.
Yeah. And Jackie really likes having these times to be able to spend with her dad, even though it's like weird that he's stuck in the hospital. She actually like gets one-on-one time with him.
Exactly.
Then Gia returns with the tape, told Mrs. Haberdasher, or whatever her name is, that she had a like creepy ex-boyfriend or something. And so watches the video from Mrs. Haberdasher's camera with Veronica, and Veronica's able to spot a man in person in a Neptune Letterman's jacket.
Yes.
Filming from across the field.
Yes. And Veronica's like, he also drives a red truck.
Yes, because in one frame there he is, like, and the red truck's behind him, but then when they pan back to that area, he's gone and the truck's gone.
Yes. And then we vote, right? Is that the next?
Yeah. The next scene is Veronica giving like a weird thing about like Keith's story in the paper.
Oh, like explaining it?
Or pretty much being like, hey, I saw this weird story in the paper about my dad and getting a staffer drunk at the Camelot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which at first I was like, do you think they talked about it? Like, that seems kind of weird, but it's like, oh, never mind. Like, they just don't show them talking about it, but obviously, like, she understands that, like,
this is a lie by Woody.
Exactly.
Yes, no, definitely. And then she goes and votes, and she votes no on incorporating.
Yep.
With the old way you used to vote, with the little things with the circles.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, with the pens on the chains.
Well, but you even now you draw a line between two things, and this one's like the dot.
Right.
Old school voting. And then we go back to school. Dick and Logan are talking about Alterna-Prom.
Yep.
Dick's like, I don't know who I'm going to take because I've dated everyone here.
Right. Or I've sufficiently creeped out everybody that I haven't dated.
Mm-hmm. And Logan's like, good thing we're going to college next year. And then our stoner friend comes up and asks if he needs to bring anything, like brownies, desserts, whatever.
Uh-huh. The secret is in the butter.
Yep.
Love it, dude. Love it.
So then... Is that when Logan asked Veronica how many people she invited? Or is that later?
You know,
It might be then.
it might be then. I didn't write that down in my notes.
Me neither, but I remembered it.
Yeah.
So basically, Logan's like, "How many people did you invite?" And she's like, "It doesn't matter. You told me I can invite whoever I wanted." Then Veronica looks at the school list and she finds that no one has a red pickup, so she can't figure out who has the varsity Letterman jacket and the pickup. And then Gia comes up to her and she's like, "I don't care about the case because my dad couldn't possibly be bad, and your dad said things in the paper that my dad's bad."
I'm in denial, and I don't want to listen to reason.
Yep.
Which I understand. She's, comes off a little bit spoiled and rich, but she just got to work through it.
Exactly.
She's lashing out. She's not gonna not be confrontational.
Exactly. And then Veronica comes home from school. We find out that we are staying in they're staying in Neptune. They're not being made their own city. They're unincorporated.
Yes.
And then Veronica and her dad start talking together, and they realize that Woody is scared and lying because both he and Gia have received videos that are stalkery.
Yes. Comparing notes. Isn't that interesting? Oh, but I did like Keith's comment about them staying as part of Neptune. What's a yacht without a few barnacles?
I love it.
Yeah.
And then we go to school. Logan's late to class. Veronica's doing some clerical work for her dad. The teacher, Mr. Wu, is always annoyed with Veronica.
Oh, this is the scene actually when it does. But
Logan's like, "How many people did you invite?" And she's like, "However many I wanted." And then he's like, "Hey, what are these forms?" And she's like, "Yeah, just doing some clerical work for my dad." And he's like, "This looks like the guy my dad shared a cell with."
It's like, oh, interesting.
Jackie, we cut back to her.
That can't possibly be it.
Yeah, no.
Looks like him.
It just looks like him.
Weird coincidence.
Huh? What do you look for this guy for?
Yeah, I know. I've got tons of friends with the bald guys that are soul patches.
And then Jackie visits her dad. He's like, "Ooh, you're falling for this Wallace kid." And she's like, "I learned about the birds and the bees the hard way." And we're like, "What does that mean?" And then Gia's actively avoiding Veronica.
Yep, but they're both working late on the school paper, and Gia's working on her story, and so is staying later than Veronica. And
so Veronica finally leaves and then realizes that the red truck is in the parking lot.
Yes,
and
because
it's Lucky, the janitor.
Because Lucky is being creepy behind her on her way out, as he's buffing the floors, and it's like, "See you later, Veronica."
I mean, they just think of that as normal with Lucky. It's just like, "Bye, Lucky."
Right. But he just has a creepy tone of voice.
And then Veronica comes, she calls her dad. Her dad does not answer the phone. And she's like, Gia's alone in there with Lucky. So she goes back in. She sees Gia.
What happened to the teacher? This is my biggest question. Because they were there. There was a teacher there. The teacher must have just left and been like, all right.
It was like maybe Gia left, so the teacher left, and Gia walked out a different way.
Maybe. I thought she just tossed Gia the keys and it's like, lock up, would you?
So then Lucky and Gia are alone in Lucky's office. Like, Gia's like, "Ooh, maybe I should interview you because you're an injured veteran." He shows her his scar. It gets real creepy. And then he pulls out the serrated knife that he has from when he fought in Iraq.
Yep. Big old fucking Rambo knife.
And then Keith comes charging in and attacks him.
Just on the subject of knives, guys, don't just show women knives, especially when they look uncomfortable.
Don't show people knives don't have knives like that. What do you need a knife like that for?
It's true.
You don't.
Well, yeah, I think people in the military usually have one as standard issue sort of thing, but
keep your
don't
knife
just show it
away.
off.
Well, why is it in a school?
Yeah, it shouldn't be in the school.
No knives at school. That was in my handbook. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, 100%. We could not bring a knife.
You couldn't have a knife. And isn't it illegal to own a knife that's bigger than the palm of your hand? Like the blade's bigger than the palm of your hand?
Interesting.
I remember being told that.
That sounds about right. I mean, they got mad when I brought in my new kitchen knives to school. I just wanted to show off.
My mom took me to Sur La Table this weekend.
I got to pick anything I wanted.
I got this mixing bowl and these
beautiful knives.
You know, they're from Japan.
Yeah. I brought in some vegetables so we could all chop, and an avocado.
Look how well it pits it. Oh, teacher, I can't. What do you mean I can't have these?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't bring your knives to school. It's against the rules, man. And it's not cool, even if it wasn't against the rules.
Mm-hmm. But you're probably not going to school, so just leave your knives in the drawer.
Keith handcuffs himself to our friend Lucky, so the sheriff's department has to take him in with him so he can interrogate him a little and ask some questions.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, honey, have fun at your Alterna-Prom. Daddy is going to be busy.
Yes. Uh-huh. Like, I'm following through on this one.
Then we get in the elevator. We've got all the O-Niners.
We're at Neptune Grand. We're at the Alterna-Prom. Everybody's made up.
Like dressed up?
Dressed up, yep. not like, yeah, just made up.
Fictional?
Exactly, yeah.
We get...
Are you saying this is like Laguna Beach and it's real?
Oh, honey.
Oh, no.
Didn't you watch The Hills? The screen drops at the end.
What?
I was mad. Mad is the wrong word. I was disappointed. But
very, very bold ending. I don't know anything else about that show, but that ending makes it
well,
so
and they
much
waited
better.
until after. Like, they should have just ended it when Lauren Conrad was like, okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And done that then. But, like, having someone else come in was a sure giveaway that this was manufactured.
Fake, yeah. Uh-huh.
So, we get in the elevator to go to prom. The O-Niners get in.
Dick's being creepy. He's got a pig with alcohol in it.
Yeah, his party pig.
Yeah. He's asking Madison, where's her date? And I'm like, well, she can't bring the sheriff.
Yeah. Veronica and all the normies get in.
Yes. And then even more normies come, and the stoner guy is wearing a tuxedo t-shirt and a top hat. And I'm like, yes, spend the money on the top hat. Forget about the suit.
Are you going to wear a top hat when we get married?
I will wear it, but I'll hand it off to someone when I start walking down the aisle.
Oh, I just meant like after, like for the party.
Oh, yes, of course.
It'd be sacrilege to wear it up the aisle.
Yeah, I got to take it off.
Don't the guys usually end up just like at the front? I guess they walk up the aisle to get there.
Yeah, at the beginning. And I hand it off and I go, thank you for giving me away, Mickey. Hold on to my hat.
Around.
Yep. Can you pass it to Pluto?
Oh, that'd be cute, Pluto in a top hat.
Yeah. Can you hold on to it for me? Here's the cane.
Oh, you got a cane?
Yes, and I'm wearing tails.
Are you going to do a tap dance?
No. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll do the tap dance from, what was the Audrey Hepburn movie we were watching?
Funny Face.
Funny Face, yeah. We'll do that, the tap dance that Audrey Hepburn does in the bar.
Oh, perfect. Can you do that?
No, but I gotta try.
Okay, well, as long as you try. So Veronica goes up to Alterna-Prom. Mac goes, I'm gonna kill you, but not.
Yeah, longest elevator ride ever.
Mm-hmm.
Butters says they're making an elevator to space,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be much longer. And Mac is like, no, this is the longest elevator.
They get there. Logan's like, how many nerds did you bring? She's like, you said I could bring who I wanted. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I am here now.
Yes. Veronica, have you seen my DJ?
Uh-huh.
There's a DJ in my hotel suite.
Uh-huh. And then she's like, also, like, Mac just had dinner on a pirate ship, so, like, consider yourself lucky. Like, life could be much worse for you, boy.
Right. And this is another aspect, too, is, we get Wallace and Logan playing off each other. Is there any relationship of, like, even being, like, friendly between, like, Mac and Logan? Or is it merely like, oh, we both know each other's existence and that we're both friends with Veronica separately?
I feel like it's that. I mean, she did date, she dated Baby Casablancas.
Yeah, Cassidy.
Cassidy.
But it's not like he hangs out with Logan separately from Dick. It was almost like he hangs out together because, like, it'd be like, hey, we're going somewhere, Beaver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think, but I think then Logan would know from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Not saying they hung out together, like, just like, oh,
yeah,
we know for sure who Mac is, and
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was wondering if that's where it ended.
I assume so. And then Keith is in the cell with Lucky, trying to get him to answer what happened, or why he's doing it, and who he's trying to, like, why he's trying to creep out Woody, basically.
Yep. What'd he do to you?
And we're getting no answers. Then we cut back to prom, where Butters looks at Mac and goes, I know it's weird to force someone to go to prom with you, but I thought, like, you're weird too. I would have smacked that boy into yesterday.
Yeah. Hey, I'm really weird, and I thought me being manipulative would make you like me, because I'm just being true to myself with this weird and manipulative.
Because of what I do, a lot of what I do, I teach people the aspects of loving yourself and, like, confidence. And a huge aspect of that is not looking for approval in other people. And by forcing someone to do something with you, you are automatically not being true to yourself.
Totally. It is. Maybe if I make her do something that she doesn't want to do, eventually she'll come around.
That's manipulative. That's problematic.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't like it.
No.
We also then go over to Madison, who's being annoyed by Dick, and Veronica's like, leave her alone. It's like, yeah, and she makes a bunch of Lamb jokes about being on the Lamb and not being with Lamb, and
being stuck with the sheriff, and
a
bunch of double entendres that are just fucking amazing.
It was really well done. And then Madison goes, oh, there's Gia. I'm going to bring her a drink. And Veronica goes and saves Gia from a trip to the dentist, because that's the only episode title I remember.
There you go. We found one.
It all comes back around. And Gia's like, sorry, I just couldn't imagine my dad being that bad, but I guess he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. She's like, I thought hard about it. Apologies. And we're like, get in here.
And then Wallace looks at her and goes, hey, Jackie and I are leaving. I leave you to represent the lower middle class.
Yes, another good one. 2 great zingers from Wallace this week. My favorite lines. Even out of the very famous one, which is soon upcoming.
Well, I think your favorite line, though, is still the there's nothing second place about you.
Yes, I just meant this episode.
Oh, yeah. Logan then starts having flirty eyes at Veronica.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's right now.
And Logan's like, I thought our story was epic. I'm sorry about last summer.
Yeah, I thought our story was epic. She's like, what do you mean? It's just like that we would, like,
it would go through multiple countries, bloodshed, people would die, like.
And I do want to at least briefly pause on this, because this is like a extremely famous, like, line from Veronica Mars. Like, this is
it really?
Yes.
Is it like romanticizing it?
Yes.
Ew.
But you can understand. I can understand part of it. Like,
yeah, you want someone to want you so bad that they would do anything.
Right, and it is extremely, like, over the top, but it's like knows that it's being over the top, because, like, he says it sincerely, but, like, the flourishes that he's adding on top of it are, like, typical Logan. But it's like, but what I'm trying to get across is, like, I think you're the one kind of thing, which is extremely sappy, but it's very effective, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I love this scene because it's the beginning of, like, what becomes, like, a different version of their relationship, and totally. I'm team Logan towards the end all the way.
Totally.
And the further we get towards the end, the more team Logan I am. Those navy whites, man, they just
right. But yeah, I think you're exactly hitting the nail on the head there, of, like, this is the new chapter in their relationship, not the end of the episode notwithstanding, but, like, of, like, that new vision of what that looks like.
But I also want to remind you that this is television, and in real life, if someone treats you like this, run.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah, there was the guys like that in high school, and as a guy, you see the other guy doing it, and, like, that seems weird, but, like, okay.
I just love
her. You
her.
seem like a nice enough guy, so I'm just gonna, like, go along, but, like, it's only really ever used in a bad way of being manipulative, or, like, a creepy way of, like, I'm professing my love.
You can love someone so much that you don't intentionally hurt them.
Yeah.
And you can love someone so much that when you do like disagree or fight or argue, it's not bloodshed.
Yes.
And it's not compared to bloodshed, even in a metaphorical sense.
Exactly.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
You're allowed to fight, but gotta...
Totally. And Veronica, like, I think you're meant to go with, oh, she's not ready to get hurt, and like love is this battlefield, like a thing, because even then, because she chickens out at the end and doesn't.
He goes to kiss her, and she gets up and she's like, I have to go.
But even during the sentence, she's like, shouldn't it be easier? And I think in a lot of sense, like it is, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And then we go to Jackie and Wallace, who have a very healthy relationship, and now they have a very healthy, sexy time.
Yeah, and the scene, like I was like, oh man, we're going in for full-on Riverdale sex scene here, except it's not like Archie, so they aren't like super sweaty.
I mean, but when a boy's got that many abs,
right? Exactly. They're just naturally moist all the time.
God. Yeah. Do you think he's just like oiled? Do they oil him?
Yeah.
Because that would be so hard. He'd slide.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's not a kiss, it's a body slam.
Exactly. He's hit his head on the headboard so many times.
No, she would. Just like, you can't get on top of oily abs.
Well, I guess she does sometimes.
It's usually girls on top in movies because it's like easier to get both of them.
True.
It's this fantasy that women have to do more work in bed. It's not fair. And then we go back to jail. And Lucky's like, yeah, Mayor Woody's quote unquote such a good guy, but like he's really. And then the Sheriff Lamb comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Meg Manning's dad bailed Lucky out.
Yeah.
Who's Meg Manning? Meg?
Yes.
Is her last name Manning?
Apparently. I did not know her last name either. But she mentions Lucky that her dad,
her family has a soft spot for him.
Yes, like way back.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot.
Yeah, which is I also forgot until this episode and didn't like bailed him out. It's like, oh right, like weird. I wonder what that means.
So then we get a headline in the newspaper. Cook throws game or whatever. Whatever.
I think it's literally says cook through game or something.
And we see Jackie going to visit her dad, so she throws away the paper. We see everyone else kind of reading it, being like, ooh, not good times.
Mm-hmm.
And Veronica's like, good morning, Father. And he's like, oh, your party wasn't too wild then. And she's like, it was interesting. And then she goes to the hotel to go talk to Logan. So she shows up and she knocks on his door. And he answers it in his undies.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up at his party.
Yep.
Much like Betty James. But instead, he's like, oh, what did I say? I was very drunk. I don't remember most of last night.
Yeah, well, he looks super guilty and is trying to hedge his bets. Mm-hmm. And she says her piece of like, let's give it a shot. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, God. And then Kendall appears and it's like, no, boy. Yeah, so I hate to see it.
Veronica turns around to leave. And he's like, Veronica, wait. And she's like, no.
Yep.
Or she says, stop, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When she gets in the elevator. And I was like, yes. I admire that about Veronica. I feel
totally.
This, not being like stoic, because she does cry. And I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
But the like, oh, no, these are my boundaries. And you just went against them again.
Right. It's like, nope, not happening.
Yep. Not happening at all.
Exactly. Good for Veronica.
Yep. I mean,
yeah. You hate
situation.
That. Exactly. You hate to see it, but good for her standing up for herself and putting up that boundary.
And also, how creepy of Kendall. He's like 18.
Yes, right back to it.
So weird.
Right back to it. Yeah. You got nothing better to do than answer a drunk 18-year-old's like booty call. That's
well, and did he even call her? Did she just show up?
That's true.
We don't know.
That is true. Assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
They're like assholes.
You've got one.
I do. And spoiler alert, it stinks.
Oh God, before we go shower, Brenton.
I really do.
Good Lord. Should we plug?
Yeah.
Or any final recap thoughts?
No, we are this episode 20. 2 away.
2 away?
2 away. Things are heating up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it.
I set him up. You knock him down.
You didn't put the ball on the T-ball tee, so I'm just kind of standing here with my badge.
It's like Lucy pulls the football before like Charlie Brown even starts running.
That's what it felt like. Well, shall we plug?
Yes.
Okay. You can find me at butreallythough.com. Though is spelled THO. I am a life and career coach. I just help people figure out what the fuck they want to do with their lives, whether it's work, whether it's like hobbies, whether it's a way to make money doing something you enjoy, whether you just want to make a lot of fucking money so you can travel. I help you make a plan to get it. It's, easy and hard at the same time because you have to do the work, but we can make a plan. You can get it done. You can also find free coaching content over on butreallythough.com. I have a YouTube channel, But Really Though, that has videos that accompany the content for all of my auditory learners. And you can find us on our other podcast. It is also called But Really Though. And it's a variety podcast. We talk about stuff we didn't learn in history. We talk about ghosts. We talk about not the paranormal, just ghosts. No poltergeists allowed. We talk about conspiracy theories and anything else we feel like. And if you want to just get gradual updates on all of this, you can go over to my Instagram, But Really Though, spelled BTRLYTHO.
Yeah. You can find this podcast on Twitter and Facebook at Mars Rewatch. You can email us at marsrewatch@gmail.com. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you can find me on Twitter at Pyle Brenton. That's Pyle.
How do you spell your first name?
PYLEBRENTON.
Thank you. A lot of people struggle with that.
Yes.
My mother's phone still autocorrects to Britain, like the country.
Yes, I'm sure many do.
Stay toasted marshmallows and buy some s'mores ingredients for next week because we're wrapping it up soon.
Yeah.
I guess the week after, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you
start shopping for your s'mores. We're in a pandemic.
It's hard enough finding graham crackers as it is.
I don't think graham crackers are out of stock.
All around me are familiar places.
That's beautiful. Is that your karaoke song?
Yeah, exactly. I really bum everybody out.
Song? Because, all the karaoke you do.
Exactly. I feel like if I did karaoke, I'd probably do a New Order song or Heaven is a Place on Earth.
Heaven is a Place on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, baby. Do you know what that's worth?
Yeah, I do know what that's worth.
Ooh, heaven is a place on earth.
They say in heaven.
Love comes first.
That's true. I love that.
We'll never top the guy who did Tequila.
Do you remember the karaoke bar we went to in the city when we visited before we moved to the city?
Yes.
And it was just like the worst.
Yeah, it was
karaoke
awful.
Is the worst because you know who can't sing? Most people. I'm sorry. Most of us suck.
I definitely can't sing. And that karaoke bar was like also like mostly bar and less karaoke. So it was like a bunch of crowd noise and then someone like
singing in a corner.
Yeah, you kind of got like half a song.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I didn't like it.
No.
I don't like karaoke, no.
I don't care for karaoke.
Yeah.
You ready?
I was born ready.